There will come a moment in your life when you look around and realize something that cuts deep. No one believes in you. Not your friends, not your family, not the people who smiled when you talked about your dreams. And in that moment, doubt gets loud. It whispers that maybe they're right, maybe you're aiming too high, maybe you should slow down, settle down, or play small. But listen to me closely. That moment is not the end of your story. That moment is the beginning of your power. Belief in yourself must come before evidence appears, because if you wait for proof, you will wait forever. The world does not reward potential first. It tests commitment. Most people are trained to believe only after results show up, only after the applause starts, only after the numbers make sense. But transformation doesn't work that way. Every breakthrough you admire began as an invisible decision inside someone who had nothing but a vision and the courage to trust it. Before there was progress, there was uncertainty. Before there was confidence, there was choice. Self-belief is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the quiet agreement you make with yourself when no one else is watching. It's waking up and moving forward even when yesterday gave you no signs that today will be different. Evidence comes later. Results come later. Momentum comes later. First comes faith in your own ability to grow, adapt, learn, and rise. And that belief doesn't come from success. It creates success. Understand this clearly. The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Just because you haven't seen the results yet does not mean they aren't forming beneath the surface. Growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. Seeds don't break the ground the moment they're planted, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. When you believe before you see, you give your actions power. When you move before you're sure, you activate possibility. Most people quit because they expect belief to feel comfortable. Real belief doesn't feel safe at first. It feels lonely. It feels uncertain. It feels like standing alone while everyone else waits for guarantees. But guarantees are for spectators, not builders. Builders trust the process even when the path isn't clear. Builders show up when motivation fades. Builders decide that their future self deserves effort, even if their present self feels afraid. Your belief shapes your behavior, and your behavior shapes your reality. When you believe you are capable, you take different actions. You speak differently. You stand differently. You persist longer. And persistence creates skill. Skill creates confidence. And confidence eventually creates results that look like overnight success to people who weren't there in the early days. If you don't believe in yourself first, you hand control of your life to circumstances, opinions, and timing that you don't control. But when belief comes first, evidence follows. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become resilient. Because you stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I grow? Because you stop needing permission and start building proof through action, repetition, and discipline. Belief before evidence is the foundation of every meaningful change. The quiet force that keeps you moving forward when the world gives you no confirmation, no validation, no signs, just the next step waiting to be taken. Rejection and doubt are not signs that you're on the wrong path. They are signals that you have stepped outside what is familiar and comfortable. Every time you decide to grow, the world responds with resistance. Not because your dream is impossible, but because it challenges expectations, especially the expectations others have placed on you. When people doubt you, it often reflects their own fears more than your limitations. They are projecting the walls they never had the courage to climb. Rejection has a way of feeling personal, but it isn't. It's feedback, not a final verdict. It's life asking you a question: how badly do you want this? Most people interpret rejection as a command to stop. The ones who transform their lives interpret it as an invitation to rise. They don't internalize the no. They analyze it, learn from it, and keep moving. Doubt becomes fuel instead of friction. Think about this. If you were aiming too low, no one would question you. Comfort doesn't attract resistance. Average goals don't trigger skepticism. The moment you stretch beyond what's expected of you, doubt shows up. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation that you're pushing past boundaries that were never designed to hold your potential. Resistance appears at the edge of growth, not at the center of comfort. The danger is not rejection itself, but the meaning you assign to it. When you let rejection define your worth, you shrink. When you let it refine your approach, you evolve. Growth demands resilience, the ability to take hits without losing direction. Every no sharpens your focus. Every closed door trains you to look for another entrance. Every setback builds strength that success alone could never provide. Doubt is loudest at the beginning because beginnings require courage without clarity. You don't have a track record yet. You don't have proof yet. You only have intention and effort. And that's exactly why doubt tries to stop you early. If it can break your momentum before it forms, it wins. But if you move anyway, if you show up despite uncertainty, you weaken doubt's power. Rejection does not mean you lack ability. It means you are being tested. Tested for patience, tested for discipline, tested for belief. The people who succeed are not immune to doubt. They are trained by it. They learn to stand steady when opinions shift. They learn to trust their process even when results lag behind effort. When you stop seeing rejection as a stop sign and start seeing it as a signal, everything changes. You no longer ask, why is this happening to me? You ask, what is this trying to teach me? You stop retreating and start adapting. You become flexible, focused, and unstoppable. Rejection and doubt are not there to destroy you. They are there to shape you, strengthen you, and prepare you for the level of responsibility. Your next version requires your inner dialogue. Shapes your destiny far more than the opinions, judgments, or expectations of others. The words you speak to yourself, the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of, create the framework through which you interpret every opportunity, every challenge, and every setback. If your inner voice is filled with doubt, hesitation, or fear, it doesn't matter how supportive the world seems. Your own mind will sabotage your progress before you ever have the chance to succeed. Conversely, when you train your inner dialogue to be empowering, patient, and resilient, you unlock a force that no outside circumstance can take away. Most people underestimate the power of this internal conversation because it is invisible. They focus on what they can see, results, feedback, praise, or criticism. But the reality is that what you believe internally precedes every external result. Your thoughts determine your actions create habits, and your habits eventually sculpt the life you live. A mind that trusts itself will move with clarity, make decisions decisively, and push through obstacles that would stop someone else. A mind that doubts itself will procrastinate, rationalize, and retreat even when opportunities are within reach. Your inner dialogue is also the lens through which you process rejection and failure. Two people can face the same obstacle and experience it in completely different ways. One will see it as proof of inadequacy and retreat. The other will see it as feedback, as a chance to adjust, improve, and grow. The difference is not talent, timing, or luck. It is the conversation they are having with themselves. By speaking words of encouragement, belief, and possibility, you train your mind to interpret adversity as a signal to adapt rather than a reason to quit. This is not about being unrealistically positive or ignoring challenges. It is about cultivating a mindset that is strong enough to navigate difficulties without collapsing under their weight. When your inner dialogue is intentional, you begin to notice opportunities you would have otherwise overlooked. You act where others hesitate. You persist when others stop. You create pathways where others see walls. That voice inside you becomes a mentor, a coach, a motivator that never abandons you. The truth is, the external world mirrors what you believe internally. Confidence, persistence, and self-respect are felt before they are recognized. When you carry certainty in your own mind, you radiate it in your actions, your tone, your posture, and your decisions. People respond to it. Doors open and opportunities appear. But none of that would be possible if your inner dialogue were filled with doubt and self-criticism. Mastering this inner conversation is a lifelong practice, but it is the foundation of becoming unstoppable. Each time you replace fear with curiosity, doubt with determination, and criticism with constructive reflection, you strengthen your ability to act decisively, persevere relentlessly, and create a reality that aligns with your highest potential. Your destiny is not dictated by what the world says about you. It is dictated by what you consistently say to yourself, the beliefs you nurture, and the actions you take in alignment with them. Growth is built in silence, consistency, and unseen effort, because the work that truly transforms you rarely happens on a stage or in front of an audience. The world celebrates results, not the quiet hours spent learning, practicing, failing, and trying again. Most people are conditioned to seek recognition, approval, and immediate validation, but meaningful change doesn't operate on applause. It operates on persistence. Every skill you master, every habit you cultivate, every level of strength you gain begins long before anyone notices. True growth is forged in the private moments when no one is watching, when motivation is low, and when the easy choice is to quit. Consistency is the engine of transformation. Talent alone is fleeting. Effort without discipline is wasted. Small, repeated actions compound over time into results that seem miraculous only because the process is invisible. Writing 1 page a day turns into a finished book. Practicing a skill for 15 minutes daily turns into mastery. Saving a small amount consistently turns into financial security. Growth doesn't always feel dramatic. It often feels slow, incremental, and invisible. But those small, consistent steps are what separate people who dream from people who achieve. The person who shows up every day, who does the work quietly, steadily, and without fanfare, is building a foundation that no criticism, rejection, or obstacle can shake. Silence is where clarity emerges. In solitude, solitude, you confront your fears, your limitations, and your excuses. You reflect on what works, what doesn't, and where you need to push harder. The external noise, the opinions, comparisons, and judgments of others can only distract you if you allow it. In the quiet, you discover the depth of your own resilience and the power of your own decision-making. You learn that progress does not require approval and that the most significant achievements are born from internal conviction rather than external recognition. Unseen effort is where character is strengthened. The moments no one observes when you choose discipline over comfort, when you keep practicing, studying, or pushing your limits despite fatigue, frustration, or doubt, are the moments that define you. These are the moments that determine who you become when success arrives. If you rely on external validation to fuel your growth, you will falter at the first setback. But if you cultivate the habit of consistent, invisible effort, you develop an inner strength that no external circumstance can undermine. The process of growth is often uncomfortable. It requires patience, endurance, and a willingness to face failure repeatedly. It demands that you trust the unseen compounding of your efforts.